Hello and welcome to Buildings of Tomorrow. My name is John Lester, and in this episode we'll be talking about expanding the scope of data sources with respect to data analytics. I'm joined today by Tyson Suter, the Global Business Development Manager for Digitalization at Siemens Smart Infrastructure. Tyson, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
When we collect data for data analytics and we want to apply these approaches that we've developed, where should we look to find this data?
So I think there's so many systems within a building. The valuable data is quite large. So traditionally, the facility manager will have access to the ins and outs of a building. So a tenant complaint will come in and they'll raise a work order, and then they'll see the job closed off and the financials come out. We've, as a building industry, always had this incredible set of data within a building, be it through, I think that the first set of data we used to collect, it was sub-metering or metering data. But then now you've got your BMS systems, you've got your fire systems, security, waste, basically anything, people counting, people movement, lighting systems. All of this is all in a building, and it tells the complete story. It gives visibility into what's happening inside the building. So not just financials or complaints in and out, but how is it operating? What is happening? How is my tenants engaging with my building? So this is the sets of data that's really interesting, but not just by itself either. It's very much about collecting that set of data and applying it to the financial set outside the building. So it doesn't replace these systems, but it enriches the data available for these systems so they can make better decisions using this data.
So collecting data from one system is good. Mm-hmm. This can help us make some decisions, identify some faults. But the more systems we collect data from, and the broader the scope for the building operation cycle that we apply it to, the more benefits we see.
Exactly. And each system that we collect data from, there's faults and there's rectification and operational improvements we can have. And they should all independently be fixed and identified as well. But bringing them together brings so much clarity into what we're spending money on, how is it working, what could we do, not just improve that system, but improve the quality of the building in energy, but also just the experience of being inside it. So now we can say, great, as an FM or a building owner, facility manager, they know exactly what they're spending their money on. They can plan their capital expenditure really well. They can understand the risk, and they can even have an idea of how much is it costing me, or how could I spend my money more wisely.
Could you give us an example of one of these interactions or one of these connections? Yeah,
so I think a great one is to be able to say, I've installed a certain type of equipment in a building. Now, normally what would happen is you'll hire some sort of consultant or someone to look at the cost and the benefits, and does this have enough capacity? But if you're able to track the operational running hours of equipment, how much it's costing in service breakdowns, in maintenance, how many complaints am I getting? What's the make, the model, the size, the region, but then also overall just the summary of costs. Now compare that to every single building in your portfolio. You can actually have like a real life cycle assessment based on data, not just off engineering principles. So now you can really say, okay, maybe a certain contractor is costing me more in a certain region on this type of equipment. So these are the decision making. You can say, okay, great, I know for a fact this is going to save me a lot of maintenance cost, a lot of breakdowns, mm-hmm. but also maybe it's not suitable for a certain region. And this is all available when you start collecting the data.
Right. So if you expand not just across your building and the operation of one building, but have the data from multiple buildings, you start to be able to have the knowledge that an experienced person might have, maybe without that specific experience yourself.
Exactly. And it's not just, you're not basing it off, good practice or what the supplier is telling you it can do. You're basing it off evidence that you had to then pay for and supply.
Yeah.
So now when you go back to this, the approval chain, you can provide them with actual data from one of your buildings.
Yeah. So you have the life cycle cost.
Exactly.
That has actually been incurred, not just what has been estimated by the supplier.
Exactly. And this is such a powerful message that it's pretty hard to ignore when you go back to get approval. So now we can really take into account that maintenance reduction or those service core costs not just energy savings.
It's interesting because, as you say, often we focus very heavily on energy savings and operational things. So live interactions, what's happening today, what's happening tomorrow. But the data that we collect historically, we can use to help drive our decisions for large capex, capital expenditures. And those decisions which normally we'd have to rely on an expert for, we can start to educate ourselves just through our expanded experience.
And people become empowered once they have access to this data. So I think they then lead to, maybe if I spend a bit more money on this piece of equipment, I know the benefits I'm going to get. So now they feel more comfortable spending that bit more money. So it's not a race to the bottom anymore. We can move slowly back to let's install quality because we have faith that the quality is going to be beneficial.
That's a really interesting point as well that I like that you made. It's data analytics by itself doesn't do anything. It's people wanting to use it or people understanding the value. And if you can start adding not just an incremental value through operation, but actually start to benefit their daily jobs, give them confidence, and enable them to make better decisions, all of a sudden that empowerment will mean they use this data more and you get more and more value. So it's a self-predicating future if we can enable that process.
Exactly, and the data doesn't lie. It tells a good or a bad story, but it will tell the story.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us here on Buildings of Tomorrow. Please feel free to comment, like, or share this episode, and also ensure to subscribe to us here on this channel. We'll see you again soon.